Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Shelley Goldberg, and we're going to be doing a class on Windows 11. This is a free class, as are all the classes by the Sun City Computer Club, whether they be by Zoom or whether they be in person at the lab. This class will be repeated again live in the lab next month on March 25th at 10 a.m. Without further ado, we still have a few people coming in, but I'm going to begin nonetheless. We're going to be discussing some of the new features in Windows 11, and you'll also see a lot of the things that are that were present in Windows 10, but are done slightly differently in Windows 11. Okay, first of all, let's talk about how you upgrade to Windows 11, or what are the requirements for Windows 11. If you're trying to upgrade, of course, you need Windows 10. You also want to make sure that all of your updates have been put in. So you want to put in your you want to go to the Windows update and make sure to perform all of the Windows updates. It's always also safest to do a manufacturer's update. So if you have an HP computer, run the HP or Dell Support Assist or Lenovo or whatever computer you might have, and make sure that you have the latest firmware in there as well, or any updates that were put in. At that point, then you can consider whether you can go to Windows 11. You're going to need a computer that has what's called a multi-core CPU. So that'll be like a dual core. It's basically like two CPUs, or if it's a quad core, it's four CPUs that run together. It needs to have a speed of at least 1 gigahertz. It needs to be a 64-bit CPU as well. You need a minimum of 4 gigabytes of RAM. It will run with 4 gigabytes of RAM. But if you have more, it's going to be a lot better if you're going to be running with 8. But of course, it also depends on how you use your computer. If you're just opening up one window in a browser, it's not a big deal. But if you're trying to play games, you're going to need a lot more RAM than even 4 or 8. You're going to need a minimum of 64 gig hard drive. So no more trying to squeeze Windows into a 32 gig computer, which was never recommended in any case. You're also going to need something called a TPM. This is a hardware device that's usually part of the motherboard, and it stands for a Trusted Platform Module, and it's version 2.0. Now, you don't need to remember all of these things, because what Microsoft does is they give you a tool that will check all of this for you. So you can download the Windows 11 Health Check, is what it's called. And you should actually see this if you go to your Windows update. It'll recommend putting in the Windows 11 Health Check. It will go through and check your computer and see if your computer qualifies for Windows 11. And of course, if you don't feel confident in doing this, you can always come to the computer lab, and we'll help you. We're open on Mondays and Thursdays from 9 to 12. So you want to get ready. As I mentioned, you want to make sure that you install all your updates first. And if you have a recent computer, something that you purchased in the last, at least in the last, let's say, 3-4 years, it should typically be have the requirements already for running Windows 11. And you may automatically get a pop-up in your Windows Update app that'll show that you're ready for Windows 11. So if you see this, you can then just click on that when you decide you want to do it. You can click on that to actually perform the Windows update. If you don't get that, then the first thing, like I say, is to check to see whether or not you have the Windows, whether your computer satisfies the requirements by running the PC health check. And then you can download the Windows Installation Assistant. And on your screen right now, you should be seeing if you go to the Windows Installation Assistant, you'll see a screen that shows you how to install Windows and download this. You don't have to copy the website. The easiest way to get to this particular website is you just go to the Microsoft website, www.microsoft.com, and just do a search for Windows Installation Assistant. And that'll be a search within the Microsoft website itself. They have a search bar at the top of their website. Now, if you find that you don't have a supported CPU, or you don't have the TPM chip, some computers, excuse me, may have the TPM chip, but it may not be turned on. So you may have to turn on the TPM chip to enable it. And this is something, if you don't know how to do this type of thing, you can again come to the computer lab, and we can help you with doing this. Microsoft does have one official workaround. If you have an earlier CPU, they allow Intel chips. I'm going to stop and just admit a few more people here. And they will allow everything from the 8th generation Intel chip and equivalent AMD chips to work with Windows 11. However, that's not to say that you can't run it with a 7th generation or a 6th generation or earlier. So what you can do is you can see what you're seeing on the screen right now is a method that Microsoft has actually shown on their website as an official workaround, where you have to actually modify what's called the Windows registry by adding a key into the Windows registry. If this is something that you are familiar with, you can go ahead and try this. If you don't feel confident in doing this type of thing, again, just come to the computer lab, and we'll be able to help you, with that. If you have an older computer, okay, something that's more than 4 or 5 years old, a computer, let's say that if it's just a 7th generation or a 6th generation, you're probably going to be okay. If you have an earlier generation or a computer that doesn't have the TPM2 chip, even though you can do a workaround, you should realize that there's no guarantee that Windows or that Microsoft is going to support Windows 11 on an older computer for any definite period of time. So you may be fine for a while, and you may be able to run Windows 11, but there might come a time where they add certain security features and things, and that may not work. They have been adding additional CPUs to their list of approved CPUs. So that may change, but there's no guarantee. We don't know this. So it could be 6 months or a year from now. They may say, if you've done this type of thing and you've upgraded with a non-supported CPU, they're no longer going to officially support it, which would mean you would no longer be able to get updates. Of course, at that point, you would have the option of going back to Windows 10 on an older computer, and you would just need to back up all of your files and then reinstall Windows 10. They do give you a way to, once you've installed Windows 11, you can regress back to Windows 10 by just clicking on a setting for a period of 30 days. After that, you'd have to actually reinstall Windows 10 manually. But, again, with any of these things, if you don't feel confident with doing this yourself, just come to the computer lab and we'll help you with it. Okay, let's dive into some of the changes with Windows 10. I'm sorry, with Windows 11. The first change you're going to see is the fact that the taskbar is now in the center at the bottom of your screen. And there are a few new icons and things. The icons look slightly different than they did in Windows 10. This is something, they're copying some of the other manufacturers out there. They're copying Apple on some of their things. So if this is something that you definitely don't like, you can change it. My recommendation would be to work with it for a couple of weeks because after you get familiar with it, you may find that you like the new design in Windows 11. If you don't like it, what you can do is you can go to the settings, and I'm going to show you how to do this. And by the way, to get to settings in Windows 11, there's a couple of ways to do this. One way is you click on the Windows Start icon, which is the one on the very left side of your taskbar. So if you click on that, you should see one of the apps on there listed as settings, and you can click on that to get to settings. Another way to do it is to right click. If you right click on the Windows Start icon, you will get a list of things that you can do, one of which is going to settings. So you can click on settings from there. Once you get into your settings, and you can go to, in this case, you would go to personalization. On the left side, you'll see personalization. And within personalization, you're going to see one of the items on there, a little bit down towards the bottom, is going to be the taskbar. If you click on taskbar, you will see one of the last items on there is taskbar behavior. You click on taskbar behavior, and there's something called taskbar alignment. Right now, the default is for it to be in the center. If you wanted to change it, you just click on that and you can move it to the left. Those are the only two options. So it can either be in the center or it can be moved over to the left of the bottom of your screen. So you no longer can move your taskbar to the top of your screen or to the left or right. Okay, next slide. And let's start looking at some of the buttons on the taskbar, and you'll see how useful some of these are. Again, the very first one is going to be your start button, and the Windows Start icon. When you click on that, you get to a list of your Start apps. And you can customize this if you would like to, or you can leave them, the way they are. When you want to see all your apps at the very top of the screen, it's going, or the top of your app list in the start bar is going to be all apps. So if you click on all apps, it then lists alphabetically all the apps in your that you might have. And if you want to go quickly to something, so for example, if you're looking for Zoom, you would just type in a Z, and it'll go quickly to the Z's in your list, and you could then click on Zoom if you wanted to do that. So it's very easy to get to whatever app you might be looking for. Okay, one of the things they're going to be able to do eventually, the Windows 11 is it's an operating system that's still evolving. So every month they add new features, and they have corrected most of the bugs in there, at least the initial bugs. But some of the features, such as the ability to do a drag and drop, and let's say you wanted if you wanted Word to be on your taskbar, currently you cannot drag and drop it to the bottom of the screen to add it to your taskbar. But what you can do is you can right-click it, and then you can say pin to taskbar, and it'll put it on your taskbar. This is probably going to change as of the March update, because there are a whole bunch of new features that are going to be added in March. They added a bunch in February, but March is going to have a large number of changes for Windows 11, and finally activating some of the newest features. One of the other things you'll be able to do, so for example, right now, let's say if you wanted to combine Word, Excel, and PowerPoint all in one folder, the way you would do that is just to move, let's say, Excel on top of Word. Now, this will not currently work, but it's expected that after the March update, this will work. And you will be able to create folders as part of your Start app. So that's going to be a new feature there. Okay. And as I mentioned, when you open up your Start menu bar, the easiest way to get to anything is just type in the first couple of letters of what you're looking for, and it'll go right to that if it doesn't appear on your first screen as you're looking at it right now. Okay. The other thing is it says on here, Start button is for starting or for stopping. So if you're looking for how you power off your computer, the new method with Windows 11, and here again, there are multiple ways to do this, but if you click on the Start bar, you'll see at the bottom of the Start bar, there are three things. One should be your login. So that's going to be whatever your login might be. And you can, if you were to click on that login, you're going to get three things, by the way, one of which is to lock your screen. So if you wanted to lock your screen and walk away for an hour and make sure nobody else is going to get in, you could click lock. One is sign out. So if you wanted to just sign out and sign back in later, or maybe have your spouse sign in, you could do that right here. The second thing you'll see is a down pointing arrow, and this is for quickly getting to your downloads. So if you click on that arrow, it'll just automatically pop up the file manager pointing right at your downloads. So that's a nice, easy way, fast way to get to your downloads. The last thing on there, though, is the one I wanted to point out is a power icon. So this is now the way to power off your computer, is you can just click on that Windows Start icon, and then click on the power icon. And if you click on the power icon, you again, as you did with Windows 10, you get the three options. You can sleep, shut down, or restart your computer. Another way to do that is to right-click on the Windows Start icon. So if you right-click on it, again, you get a long list of options, and one of the things is to shut down. So if you move your mouse cursor down to shut down, you again have the option to either sign out, sleep, shut down, or restart. So that's another method of powering off your computer. What you don't want to do is to just click off the power button and on your computer. You want to make sure that you turn off all of the, anything that's open. And if you do a formal shutdown like this, this will close all apps, and you're not going to wind up, losing any data. Okay. And one other thing I will mention, if you right-click on that Windows Start icon, you'll see that, again, there's a long list of things on there. One of them is Task Manager. So now this is how you would get to Task Manager, is by right-clicking on the Windows Start icon. So you no longer can just click somewhere on the taskbar, empty space on the taskbar, and get to the Task Manager. You have to do it this way. All right, let's move on. Okay, and see, before we get to a multiple desktop, let me point out the magnifying glass. Now, the magnifying glass is what Microsoft has introduced is a universal search. So if you click on this magnifying glass to search, okay, you can use this to search anything at all. If you wanted to search for an app, you could click on apps and you could just type in the first couple of letters of an app and it'll point to your app. If you were looking for a document, you could type in whatever words might be in that document title, and it'll find that document that you're looking for. You can also even do a web search. So if you wanted to type in, whatever you want to do, if you if I type in, let's say, Ukraine, it's going to pop up, well, immediately shows you some news, but you can also click on this now, and as long as I click on web, it's going to give me a web search, and I can do a web search on, in this case, Ukraine, or whatever you might type in, and I have all of these different options, and it will actually open up your browser, and you then have whatever you want to look for on your search. So it's a very useful thing. It's kind of a universal search, and you can use that to quickly get whatever you're looking for, be it a file or anything on the web. Okay, moving on. The next icon you're going to see on your taskbar is something that looks like a couple of squares put together, and that's your multiple desktop. What they're giving you now with Windows 11 is you have the ability to set up multiple kind of virtual desktops. So you can not just have a single desktop that you may be working with. So you can have multiple things. If you want to set up a desktop, let's say for your spouse to use, or if your grandchild comes over and you don't want them to see all the various icons on your screen, they always want to go and play some games, you can set up some games on a second desktop and they would just go in there. So it can be useful if you're doing some work on the side. You can have one for work things and one for personal things. If you're working on any specific project, perhaps a club type of thing, you could set up a desktop for your club. You can add as many desktops as you want, and you can rename them. If you wanted to rename them, all you do is you right-click on the desktop name, and you'll see that there's an option in there to rename it, and you can change it to whatever you might like. And you can also change the background. So if you want it to look slightly different, you can change the background. As you see here, the second one has a different background than the one we're currently looking at. So that's a very nice option with multiple desktops. The next thing is actually widgets. Now, they've already made some changes to Windows 11, and as you see, they're pointing here to a fourth thing on the taskbar, which is no longer there. They've now moved the widgets over to the left. So I have on here, you'll see it says 22 degrees and sunny right now in beautiful Huntley here. And if I click on that, it's going to bring up all of my widgets. So I've got the weather widget, and I've got it's got stocks on here. You can have sports scores. You can have photos. If you want to add additional widgets, what you do is you can just click on your either your initials or your icon of yourself at the upper right-hand corner. You'll see something that says settings. You will click on settings, and at that point, you've got the ability to add more widgets. So I can add, and it'll give you some suggestions. So you've got things like, a calendar, or gaming, traffic reports, and so forth. So you can kind of go through this and see which widgets is. There are tons of these, and you can, that you can decide that you might want. These are just various categories of different widgets, and you can add the ones that appeal to you and personalize this. And so this then sits at the lower left-hand side of your screen, and if you just pass your mouse cursor over it, it immediately pops right up. So very nice way to quickly see what the weather is outside, and you don't even have to pass your mouse cursor because it's going to show you. If you've got the weather widget, it'll show you the weather right there at the bottom of your screen on the taskbar itself. So, okay, the next thing that you're going to see is something that looks like a video camera, and basically what this is Microsoft. It's a way to get to Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Teams is Microsoft's version of, well, it's not really, they're just their version of Zoom. It is a video conferencing tool. It offers a lot more, but they've incorporated that now into Windows 11, and it's free for anyone to use. So you can set up your own video conferences using Microsoft Teams. And it also allows you to do chatting. So you can send messages back and forth with people right by clicking on the chat icon there. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is snap layouts. Now, what this allows you to do is it allows you very quickly to, if you have multiple windows that are open and you want to get them, you want to see them all on the screen neatly, so you can, they're not one on top of another, you can see them neatly. You can select from a choice of different patterns. So if you want, 2 or 3 or 4, depending on the resolution of your screen, you'll get more. You may get more options if you have a higher resolution screen, and you have the ability to then put these windows side by side. So, for example, if I were to open up, let's say my downloads folder. Let's say I'm just opening up, and the quick way to get to the downloads folder, as I mentioned before, is you can just click on that down arrow. So I open up my downloads folder here, and then maybe let's say, let me open up another one. So I'll say I'll open up. I'll just do music here. So I'm going to open that up in a new window. Okay, so I have 2 of these now on a window, and I kind of want to get these side by side. So what you would do is on any one of these, what used to be, you would click on the middle, but you have a minus sign, a square, and an X, and the square used to just have the ability, and it still does, the ability to either give you the ability to maximize or to change the way you're looking at that particular window. Now it gives you the ability to snap your windows to whatever pattern you want to look at. So if I want to make these, let's say, side by side, or you can also have one bigger than the other, I can click on, let's say, this one, and I would make this one on the left as a big square. Now it gives you the options for the other ones as to where you want to put that one. So I would now say, okay, I would like this one to be on the right side of that. And now I have them neatly snapped right in. So this is a very nice feature, these snap layouts. Okay, another new feature that they've added to Windows 11 is something called Clipboard History. Now, the way you use Clipboard History is it's Windows V if you hold down the on your keyboard, it would be the Windows key and the V. If you recall, you can do copy and paste as Control C for copy and Control V for paste. Well, this is Windows V, which gives you the clipboard manager. So when you click on Windows V, you're going to get the screen that looks like the one at the you're seeing at the bottom of this slide right now, and that will show everything that you've pasted onto your or everything that you've put into your clipboard. So you can collect a couple of different things in your clipboard, and these can be photos, these can be just paragraphs of text, whatever they may be, and that way. When you're, let's say, going into a Word document or some other app and you wanted to paste things in, you now have not just one thing that you can paste into there, but you have your a history of all of the recent things that you've added to your clipboard, and you can select from any of these, or you can select all of these. And they also give you the option on there. You'll see there's emojis on there. There's a GIF icon. So you can add various things from there as well. So if I click on Windows V, and I'm going to get to my clipboard. Okay, and I put in item 1 and item 2. And here's the emojis. If I want to add a GIF, there's GIFs that I can add in. So you get various things like that. And you can then just paste those into anything you might be working on. So this is a very nice feature to use as well. This works throughout all the different programs that you would normally use a copy and paste type of thing. Okay, the next thing that this was available in prior Windows, in Windows 10, but they've made this a lot better in Windows 11. There's a lot of improvements with dictation. It now includes punctuation. So if you wanted to dictate in, and I know I'm not the greatest typist in the world, so it's a great thing to be able to just talk into a document. So let's say I'm going to to open up a notepad. Just a notepad should do the trick. And it's going to go to all apps, notepad. And so what I can do, and I will just turn on my dictation launcher, and you just click on this to start talking, and I will say that, okay, now is a great time to dictate into your computer, and it will automatically punctuate whatever you say to it. Today is Friday. It is a beautiful day outside, even though we had snow overnight. And you'll see it neatly punctuates everything. Now I'm in Notepad, so it's not doing the paragraphing, but the punctuation is going in. Okay, so that's dictation. Okay, next thing can talk about is they've added a video editor. Some of you may remember the Microsoft Movie Maker that's been around for years and years and then kind of went defunct. Well, they brought back a new video editor, and the way to get to that is just by opening up Microsoft Photos. You'll see in Microsoft Photos, there's a tab on there to start up a video editor. I can do that. So if I quickly go from in here, and there's my Photos app. So I'm going to start up the Photos app. And then up at the top, there's going to be Video Editor. So I'm going to click on Video Editor, and it says, welcome to Video Editor. You can start a new project, or you can continue a project that you're currently working on. And for those of you familiar with Movie Maker, it's going to look similar to that. So you have a storyboard. You have where you can set up your video and play the video that you're building, and you can do clips and cut out portions of a video. So it's a nice feature that that's been lacking in for a while in Windows 10, and they now brought this back to in Windows 11. Okay, now what seems to be missing, but not really, is Cortana. What they've done with Windows 11, and I talked about this briefly before, is there's now a universal search. So you click on that magnifying glass, and you can search for anything you want in there, be it an app, a document, or on the web. But Cortana is still there. It's just no longer appearing prominently on your taskbar. So if you want to get to Cortana, what you would do is you would just click on the Windows Start. You can then click on, and you can type that in as well. You can just say Cortana, and there's the Cortana app. And I can start up Cortana, and it will then give you the Cortana app with a few embellishments that weren't there before, but it's similar to the old version of Cortana. For those of you that are not familiar with Cortana, it's just a method. You can say, to call Cortana and just ask it whatever you want to, just like you would with Google or Siri on an iPhone or any of these other assistants. Okay, next thing I'm going to talk about, and I will go over a few more things, but just wanted to mention that two apps, they give you two apps that you should always look at these first. When you're first using Windows 11, if you want a nice tutorial as to how to use the various features in Windows 11, the two apps are the Get Started app and the Tips app. So you would do the Get Started first and then go on to Tips. And what you can do is you can click on the Windows Start icon, get your list of apps. So you would click on All Apps, and they're all there alphabetically. And then you can go down and Get Started, and then also for Tips. And just like in Windows 10, if you want to add these to your desktop, all you would do is do a drag and drop of the Get Started app to your desktop, and it'll put it out there. And then do the same thing with the Tips app, and then you'll have that. And I would suggest using those two to get more familiar with some of the features that we've talked about and some other things as well. Okay. All right, let's talk about a couple of other things. The display settings. If you right-click on anywhere on your desktop, you get a menu, and one of the things on the menu is display settings, and you can customize your various display settings. So if you want to set up multiple monitors, change resolutions, and that type of thing, you can do that right here. You'll also see in there's going to be a brightness. You can change the brightness of your screen. There's a bar that goes back and forth. And there's also a new feature called Night Light. Nightlight is very nice. And what this does is, you may be familiar with some night lights on some phones now have this as well. Um, uh, your screen typically has a lot of what's called blue light. And they say blue light sometimes keeps you awake if you're looking at the screen just before you're going to sleep at night. So, after a certain period, what you can do is you can, you may want to look at things with a more yellowish type screen to reduce the blue light, and you can turn on a night light. So what's very nice here is if you turn on night light, there are also various features here. You can see, perhaps see the difference in the screen. And what you can also do is you can set up options, you can schedule it. So if you wanted to schedule this, to do this, let's say, automatically from sunset to sunrise, or you can set whatever times you want for it to go on. So that's kind of a nice feature there. Now, there's a shorthand way of getting to these things. What they've done is, if you click on any of the icons, right next to your date and time on your taskbar. So if I click on any of these, and you get what used to be there, you could actually click on your Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, or set your computer into airplane mode and so on. Well, now it also has night light, so you can turn on night light right there. So that's a quick way of getting the night light if you just want to do it quickly. You also have on this quick access screen, you also have the brightness. So you've got the bar, and you can make things dimmer or brighter on your screen. And you also have your sound controls, so you can make things as loud or as soft as you want. Okay, another thing that, okay, let's talk about is, let's talk about the Microsoft Store. The Microsoft Store is where Microsoft has all of their apps, and that's on your taskbar. Looks like a little suitcase. If you click on that, that opens up the Microsoft Store. Now, they have enhanced this over what was used in Windows 10. So let's say you want to quickly get to your updates on here. Rather than used to be able in Windows 10 to just click on your icon at the top, and then it would list your apps that needed updating. Now in the lower left-hand corner, they have what's called the library of your apps, and you can click on that library, and then it'll show you what apps need updating. You can then update all, or click Get Updates to get additional updates. So that's something new. Now, what they've also enhanced with the Microsoft Store is they're, of course, just like with Google and Apple, they're trying to sell or rent movies and games, as well as apps. So you can get various games and things. You can look at various movies. So this is something, if you go to the home screen, they're going to be pushing various, not just apps, but they're also going to be, pushing various movies that you might be wanting to rent and so on. But the nice thing that that they're doing with Windows 11 is they're introducing Android apps. So not your iPhone apps, but if you have an Android phone or an Android tablet, used to working with Android apps, you're going to be able to use Android apps right within Windows 11. Now, this is a feature that they have started to put out with the February release, but it's supposed to, with the March release next month, it's supposed to be, I don't know if it'll be totally working at that point. Right now, there's a limited number of apps that you can use. What it does is the way this currently works is it doesn't give you the Android, the Google App Store. It gives you the Amazon App Store. So if you're not familiar with that, Amazon has their own app store, which are Google apps that work under the Android operating system. And these will now work in Windows. So there's a couple of ways to get this. One of the ways is you can let's go open up my. One of the ways to get this is to go to the Amazon App Store, which is now an app in your, it's an app that you can download. It's the Amazon App Store. And if you open up the Amazon App Store, this is, let's say it's not fully functional, so there's only going to be a limited number of apps until next month. Let's see if I can get this started. Yep, there we go. So yeah, they call this a preview. So they have various apps on here, and you can then, just like you would with any Microsoft app, you can actually load these Android apps from the Amazon App Store. Now I've loaded a couple of these, so I can show you one of them in particular. I've got the BBC on here as an Android app. So if I open up BBC, and here's the app as it would look if you're using this on a tablet or a phone or anything like that. And it's just running under Windows 11 right now. And you can listen to the BBC podcasts and so on with this particular one. But there's, there are a lot of apps. And like I say, it's going to be with the March release that they will be making this supposedly fully active. So we'll have to wait and see if they actually have a complete list of the Android store on there, of the Amazon store on there. Okay, let's see. Next thing to talk about is File Manager. Again, looking at the taskbar, going along the taskbar. What looks like a file folder is now your File Explorer. So you click on the File Explorer, and you'll see a few things on here. Some of it is similar to what you've used before with Windows 10. The look and feel, and a few more capabilities on here. And by the way, you'll notice on all of the windows in Windows 11, the windows are a lot more rounded than they used to be. So it's not the squared off corners, they're more rounded corners. With File Explorer, you now have these icons up at the top. So if I were to, let's say, open up my downloads, and if I click on anything, okay, I now have these options at the top as icons. The first one looks a pair of scissors, so that's cut. The next one is an icon for copy, an icon for paste, an icon for rename, an icon for sharing. So if you wanted to email that or text it to someone, you can do that. You can delete it. You can do your sort if you wanted to sort these. And one easy way to sort, any list of files in the File Explorer, you have the headings. So you have name, date modified, type, and size. If you click on name, okay, that's going to sort it alphabetically. If you click again, it's going to reverse sort it alphabetically. So you can do that. If you click on size, it'll sort things by size. So then you can see the biggest things, your biggest files that you might have downloaded, in this case, downloads. And then if you want to get back to sorting by name, then you just click the name again, and then you sort by name. So The other thing is, under view, you can quickly change the view of what you're looking at. So in this case, I'm looking at details. If instead of details, I wanted to look at them as icons, okay, you can have large icons, you can have medium-sized icons, and so on, or you can have the details, whatever you prefer. And if you're into pictures, the icons can be little thumbnails of your photos. Okay, next thing I was going to talk about, when you set up your printer with Windows 11, you're looking to set up a printer. So let's go, you would go to settings, and I'm going to go into settings, and you would go to Bluetooth and devices. And then under devices, you're going to look for printers and scanners. And then you get your the printer that you want to add, and you can add a new printer. Now, the thing is, after you put that in, you may want to have one, especially if you have more than one printer, but you may want to have a printer as your default printer. What I would recommend is there's a setting on here that says under printer preferences, let Windows manage my default printer. You may want to turn this off. The reason why I say that is what Windows will do is if you have this turned on, Windows then will manage all of your printers. So if you have multiple printers, it's going to use it's going to give you the last printer that you use. So you may want that, and that's fine. But if you don't want that, and let's say one day, especially if you have a laptop, you're printing to a PDF file instead, and then you come home and you want to connect up your printer to your printer, and now you want to put to your printer. Well, if you want to use a default printer, and it's your Windows is managing it, it's just going to use the last thing you use. So by turning this off, you can set your own to whatever you want to be the default. So in this case, I have a Canon printer, and I've got that set as my default. Okay, also in settings is Windows Update. So you can set your settings so that Windows will automatically update. From here, you can get your update history. You can set your options. If you want to make sure that you're getting updates, let's say if you have Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office or Microsoft 365, to get the updates for any of those Microsoft products, you're going to want to turn on receive updates for other Microsoft products. If you want to make sure that your updates come in automatically, you'll want to check pretty much all of the items on this list. So the second one is get me up to date. You'll want to check that. The only thing you want to be careful of is download updates over metered connections. Okay, if you're at home, you're probably fine, but if you have a laptop that you're working with, usually you're going to want to do this over a Wi-Fi. But if you have a limited amount of data with your internet plan, then you may not want to download updates where you're going to be charged for data. So you may want to, at that point, just do it over Wi-Fi. Okay, one more thing I'm going to point out in settings, and let's go back in settings to let's see. If you go to the privacy and security settings, okay, One of the things that you have in privacy and security things, if you look under Windows permissions, the very first item under Windows permissions is general. And if you click on general, you get a few things that you can turn off. So for example, the very first one, let apps show me personalized ads by using my advertising ID. Okay, if you don't want to get these ads, just turn that off. So it gives you a little bit more privacy. So that's one thing you can do there. Of course, there are a lot more settings that you can change, and you can, certainly go through that. The last thing I'll talk about as far as settings goes, or as far as apps goes, let's say you want to uninstall an app. The best way to uninstall an app is you would go to your settings, and now under settings they have apps, and if you click on apps, you'll have a list of all of the apps, and I can list all my apps. And under any one of these, okay, so you can take any app that you don't want, that you would want to uninstall, and all you do is there's 3 dots next to that. If you click the 3 dots, you have an option to uninstall. So that's one way you can uninstall the app. And okay, so at this point, I am going to open up for questions, and you can unmute yourself, and then we'll entertain questions. Anyone? Oh yeah, you'll need to unmute yourselves. You should be able to unmute yourselves. Just either hold down the space bar, or on your Zoom screen, just click the unmute button.
I have a question.
Yes.
Will this information be included in any kind of report from the computer club?
I'm not sure what you're referring to as a report.
Well, you know how every month after the meetings, you can go online and get the meetings if you were unable to attend. Is that the
Yeah,
case?
yeah. When you signed into the meeting, you should have seen that the meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be available either later today or tomorrow. And right on our website, just go to the Sun City website, go to the club pages, look for a computer club website page, and there'll be a link there to a recording of this class.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Shelley, I noticed that there was an app on there for Kindle. Okay, if you put that Kindle app on, will that also access? You have to sign on for Amazon then to get to your Kindle account, showing all your books.
Yeah, that works the same way as this. You might be using it on your phone. You do have to have an Amazon account. So yeah, it'll have all of your books from Kindle on there. Yes. More questions? Yeah, and in Zoom, you should see an unmute button. It looks like a microphone, and you can just click on that to unmute yourselves. Or if you're using a PC, just hold down the space bar. If you hold it down, you will be unmuted. Okay, I guess must have been pretty pretty complete. That we don't have any more questions. But certainly, if you do, have questions that you think of later, feel free to come to our Computer Club lab. We are open on Mondays and Thursdays from 9 to 12, and be happy to answer any questions there or assist you with installing Windows 11. Yeah, was that a question? Did someone else have a question there? Otherwise, I hope this was useful for you, and thank you all for coming, and enjoy your use or future use of Windows 11.
Good job, Shelley. Thank you.
Thanks.